everything started when I was in LA. I lived in LA for 3 years, pretty
Hmm.
much. And I had been out of college recently. I didn't have a job at all. I was looking for a job, no? And I spent a lot of time trying to get in the film industry because I had studied film scoring, um, which is, uh, something that I ended up not doing much. I did score for short films, documentaries, but not from the States. Ironically, as I was in the States, people from other parts of the world were contacting me, especially from Peru, Ecuador, because I
Hmm.
had made some friends in Berkeley that were living in all these different countries. So I was getting more,
Gotcha.
yeah, I was getting more opportunities through them. Uh, um, and then I ended up assisting other composers, and at the same time, I got into different music schools. So that's how my job, how my working world started, no, in the U.S.
Hmm.
Um, but I
So where they
was
go from there? Like what was next?
right. Well, I guess the pandemic was next.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that too. But before we got there, I was working endlessly Monday to Saturday. You
Hmm.
know, it's not like I was feeling like I was in an inferno or anything like that. Like it was okay. It's still, like
Yeah.
I
What was
managed
like the week to week look like? What did that look like for you?
very. It was, you know, it was very like there was a fixed routine that I was following every week. So some days I will go to teach at these schools that I was teaching at. Some days I will go to the studio where I was helping the composer, which was a nice experience, by the way. Uh, but at, I wasn't exactly doing what I wanted because it was a lot of more like mixing and engineering at the studio, and I
Hmm.
learned a lot about that too. Like that's the good thing. Like every experience that you go through, even if it's not what you ever dreamed of, you're gonna learn a lot from these experiences, and you're gonna get closer to where you really want to be.
100%.
Independently of the situation or experience that you're going through. Um, but
I feel that too cuz like whether it's an experience that you like or don't like, I feel like it for me I always learn I learn exactly that, like what I like, what I don't like, so that it helps me figure out like, okay, I'm gonna continue doing the things that I like especially getting out of college. I think having the experience of classroom teaching and going through all of those like practicum classes to learn about how to teach in the classroom, and then having that experience myself as well, it gave me a lot of experience and a lot of insight on what I want versus what I don't want. And I realized I didn't want to be in the classroom. And that's why I moved towards just private teaching after I graduated college.
there you go. There you go. Yeah.
uh, yeah.
So, just so I really didn't study to be a teacher. It sort of
Hmm.
it sort of happened, but it's been this let's say sort of natural talent that I have
Yeah.
developed since even before going to Berkeley. Where I studied for 4 years.
Hmm.
Um, since before that, I was given piano lessons because I just enjoyed doing it, and it really solidified a lot more um, after the pandemic hit, right? So I
Yeah.
was in this constant flow of working, and mostly because I also needed to make a living and pay my bills. Um, but at least I was doing everything that I was doing was music orientated, so I also couldn't complain, no.
Yeah.
But well, pandemic really hit hard for me because I was in this constant flow of like intense work every week, and all of a sudden, zoom, that went to like zero.
Hmm.
So like it absolutely disappeared. They weren't accepting people going into the studio anymore. They weren't accepting people going into the schools. So I stopped just working. I was jobless. Absolutely. Like
Hmm.
I had nothing to do. Um, and I had to do something. So I saw this picture. I saw this like posts that a friend of mine was doing from Berkeley on Instagram, and it was like very simple, like these flyers. It was like this flyer with a little piano, kind of like a toy piano in it, saying, piano lessons, and then you went to the next page, and it said chords, next page, harmony, ear training,
Mhm.
tensions, like very specific things too, like tensions, chords, scales, and stuff like that. And I was like, wow. And like, I talked to him and he was like, yeah, I have some students. Well, that's pretty cool. It must be like people now want to do online stuff. So I kind of like copied his model. I was like, I'm just going to copy
Yeah.
this guy's model and see if it works for me. So I did something very similar, no? I mean, it must have
How'd that
been,
go?
mhm. It must have been like, um, it must have been like I was first in the list for God or something like that. But like
Mhm.
the first, I must have been one of God's favorites in that first week because all of a sudden I woke up and I had 11 messages on my Instagram,
No.
and I was like, wow, I guess that really worked out. uh, well, there's a detail that I missed. I also saw the boost button. All right,
Mm.
as I did the publications, and I'm someone who, well, I'm actually working on it, but back then I just took decisions like this. I was like, all right, LA, let's go to LA. Like I need to find work. All right, let's get to work. So with this is a boost at the bottom. I didn't even know how to use it. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like, yeah, I can just put $5. It doesn't matter. Let's do it. So I just did it, and all of a sudden it worked amazingly.
Yeah.
I got students very fast. By the second month, I had about 20 students a week. And then by the fourth or fifth month, I was all the way up to like more than 30 students a week.
Mhm.
I didn't know how to charge for lessons. I didn't know how to run a business. I knew nothing. I didn't even have that much experience teaching this new audience because before it was like this mostly kids, mostly
Yeah.
teenagers, and I was teaching like 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds, so it was all new. Suddenly I liked it. Um, and eventually I started, just by the information that was available to me, like designing a method, right?
Mhm.
Defining how much I'm really going to charge, defining, can I really make a living? Can I really even make a living off this? Like, am I able going to make my bills
Yeah.
with just this? Gladly, it did work eventually, and that's all I was doing. Um, but again, things got a little monotonous again, and the main issue eventually was, which was kind of like a good issue. I had too many people, and I was putting too much of my time. So I
Mhm.
knew I could do it better. I knew something could be done better. And Benjamin Nugans appeared. appeared. That's when yeah, you appeared in the picture, which was much later because I started March. I remember I lost all my
Uh-huh.
jobs on March what, the 12th or the 13th, which is when the pandemic
Yeah.
started. March the 14th, I launched the app, and probably 2 or 3 days after that, I got my first students.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from that on, I've been doing it up to now. But you
Yeah. And then
appeared,
what month did we start? Yeah, what month did we start working together?
yeah, you appeared in a picture about this time, 2 years ago.
Okay,
Sorry, sorry, sorry,
cool.
sorry. No, hold on, that can't be right. You appeared in a picture, yeah, a little bit earlier than that, February 2022, something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
year. Yeah, and that was great. That was great because I really needed to organize it. I really needed someone who was more into it and knew more about it. And basically, I was able to still at least on that first instance, make the same
Hmm.
amount of money, but for half, in exchange of half of my time. No,
Yeah.
now I'm making a little bit more in exchange for even less of my time, which
Yeah,
is
exactly. It's
great.
going the opposite way now, like making more, spending less time working. I'm glad it's like moving towards that direction.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
Uh,
kind of curious, like I definitely want to break down like what your model looks like now, for everyone, for anyone that's watching. But like, what do you feel like starting from maybe where COVID was when you're really busy to now? What were some of those biggest shifts that you had, or maybe biggest learning lessons that you had over these last 2 years of this new journey?
mhm. The biggest lessons of the journey.
Yeah,
Um,
biggest lessons or biggest shifts or something like that.
mhm. Right. Well, an absolute tremendous shift was the fact that since, well, I'm a pianist and composer, and I love I love I love many music styles, but especially jazz, especially Brazilian music, Latin American music. I compose this type of music, and I enjoy it very much. And one of my biggest dreams was to visit Brazil and hopefully live there even for a bit. I've listened
Hmm.
to Brazilian music since I was like 13 years old. And I know a lot about the composers and their most popular songs and where they come from. And there's just something magical about this place, no? The nature, the people, the music. It's just
Hmm.
such an alive place, you know. Um, and at some point in this development, being in the States, I realized, hey, like I just talked to a friend over there, and like he lives for like three times less than I live here right now, and he's eating good, he's having a great time, he's doing Brazilian music. I've been wanting to go there for like my entire life, um, and then something clicked, right? Okay, like I
Yeah.
looked at my setup and it was like a keyboard, my screen, my mic, right? And I was like, I can have this exact same setup there, and like nothing really
Hmm.
is going to change. Just like shifting a few hours in time zone, you know, I'm going to still make my income through PayPal, and I can be there. So like, let's go.
Hmm.
So I basically bought a ticket with no return, and I went there.
Dang. There we go.
Yeah, that was a big
So
shift.
how'd you feel? Yeah. So landing here and like almost that realization was like, okay, I got to make this work now. This is my life. Like, what was that like for you?
Right, right, right.
Especially.
Um, just to like put a brief personal data there. When I was in the States and I was going through all of this, I was living with my ex-girlfriend, who I spent 4 years, and that was also ending. So it was kind of like a perfect shift, and I had the
Mhm.
time, to do that and be able to like migrate, to a different country.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was pretty shocking too because I didn't know the language, no, and I
Hmm.
didn't know anything about that country. I only knew some people that I had met at Berkeley who were there,
Yeah.
and that was good. I was able to stay with a friend, and then I did my own thing. I rented a place, and I kept working. I kept exploring. So that job allowed me to explore an entire different culture,
Hmm.
and learned so much about this different culture. And the greatest benefit of this too was that I had more time to do other things. So
Yeah.
I kind of had put my piano playing aside, and I was really not playing that much. And I really wanted to
Hmm.
play. So I started practicing more. Um, you know, at school, I was practicing like 5, 6 hours a day for like more than a year. And I'm glad I did that because it got me to where I want with my skills. There's still more to develop,
Hmm.
but this new way of working allowed me to, have a different type of life balance,
Hmm.
and it also made me realize that it's not only everything about just music, because if you ignore other aspects of your life, your music is going to be affected, you know? And
100%. Yep.
yeah. Uh, so since I started realizing that, I wanted to invest more time in myself, taking therapy, doing meditation, which is something that I enjoy as well. Um, just eating better, like doing exercise, these things, which as time has passed by, I have realized that are as important,
Hmm.
as practicing and taking care of your business. I am not in Brazil
How do you?
anymore. Yeah.
Oh,
Go.
I was gonna say, like, how is it fed into now the teaching side, and how's, like, with everything aligned and congruent for you? Like, how do you feel now when you step into the business and start working on that? Now that you have the other parts of your life fed, what is it like for you now?
hmm I'll have more energy during the day. That's something that
Hmm.
has abruptly changed. I went through a phase where I didn't wanna. I was like very. I kind of like went through a phase in my life with where I was kind of like shut down a little bit.
Mm.
I wasn't getting enough energy, especially in the mornings. I wasn't being very creative. Like my creativity side, it had kind of like stopped. So you know, through this new way of facing life, honestly, um, I started to take care more about like who I'm giving my time and energy and what I'm spending my time and energy on.
Hmm.
Because as you grow older, you start getting less and less. So like you really want to take advantage of it, right? Um, so now when I work on the business, I feel a lot more in control with
Hmm.
my time and energy. I try not to overexceed myself. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think anyone should overexceed themselves unless you are like Elon Musk and you have the capacity to, like the brain capacity. And yeah, because I've seen that
You
guy,
got all the parts of your brain unlocked.
right? But just for like an average person, it's important to like have a strong life balance. Uh, yeah, but I feel like I don't get as overwhelmed as I used to before, just because I am more in peace. I have more energy, so I can
Yeah.
tolerate doing one task for a bit longer. Um, I I have fewer tasks, and I do them more efficiently. So
Yeah.
I
Very
can,
simple. Very simple.
yes, I can be like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna work on the business, but I don't want to spend 4 hours on Facebook. Like, let's just, organize this. I'm gonna add some people. I'm gonna invite them to the group. I'm going to, I don't know, make a post, maybe
Hmm.
message some people as well. That's it. I'm done for the day with that.
Yeah.
Because another thing is that, man, I feel like, there should be like a giant institution that just dedicates how to prepare people for art. If
Yeah.
you're an artist, like this is the artist institution. You're an artist, okay, bro, you gotta come through here. This is what you need. This is what you need to do so that you don't crush in the middle of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's complex to be an artist. It's complex. Your emotions are involved.
Hmm.
So if you're in a terrible mood, everything you do musically is going to reflect that. If you're in an amazing
Yeah.
mood, then that day you're going to create something amazing, probably. Uh,
Yeah.
and if you keep the good moods, I mean, it's simple math. Like you keep the good moods, you're gonna make more money. You know,
Hmm.
that's just how it works. So dealing with it with those emotions, no, and there's just so
Yeah.
many different aspects to being an artist, no. So and there is many things that you can do to enhance it, like either working on the teaching, uh,
Hmm.
producing your own videos, which is what I'm doing now. Like I created this new course that it's whole. pre-recorded, right? And I'm
Yeah.
putting it on a cloud on the internet and selling it. And I'm just trying to diversify the incomes now. I don't want my studio to be my only source of income. I want to have
Hmm.
multiple sources of income. And a musician or an artist is absolutely capable of doing that, you know,
Yep.
because society sometimes puts this tax on artists like, oh, you don't got to make money, or oh, you can't make a career of it. Um, if you get into those beliefs, then that's what your life is going to reflect, and you're going to feel limited and you're going to feel blocked. However, if you understand that an artist can make a living being an artist and and make money as much as like a lawyer can do or an engineer can do, and you are convinced of that, then it's going to work for you, and it works for many people as well. You know,
100%.
yeah,
I,
and
I agree with
mhm,
that like
yeah,
1,000%. And I think what you said was really interesting is like it's very simple. It's like you have a good day, it's easy to make money. You have a bad day, it's gonna be hard. And
yeah,
I've met a lot of people where it's interesting because like I feel like with creatives, we're just naturally the type of people that we can't turn off our work. Some people like they can disconnect from work after they get home from 5 p.m. Like they're done for the day. They can disconnect. Um, a lot of times we can't, and it's just intuitive because we're in the creative space. But for a lot of like for a lot of um, people that can't turn it off, like me, that's where it gets really important that we have to, like, all parts of our lives is really important because, like, our mindset in outside of work is going to bleed into work as well. So, completely agree with you there.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There are, you know, and you can really make the artistic life be very fulfilling if you are organized enough, you know,
Hmm.
because really during the day there can be many actions that you can take, and you don't have the time to take them all. So,
Yeah.
you know,
It's also important to realize that you can be able to live a really bad life and make a lot of money as well. You can be burned out, stressed to your mind, and still make a ton of money. Like those two aren't in relation at all. That I feel like, but what is in relation is like you can make money feeling good and you can make money feeling bad. Which path do you want to take?
there you go.
It could be as simple as that. Like you can make money having a good life, you can make money having a really stressful life. Which path do you want to take?
Yeah. Exactly, exactly. And because of the experiences that I went through, and you know, I decided to do this course, which is called
Yeah. Can you
Piano
kind of break
Killer.
it down? Yeah, like for anyone that's watching, like what does it look like so far? What does it look like as the teacher? What does it look like for the student?
Hmm. Right. Um, it's well, it's divided in a series of different modules, in 9 modules in total, and
Hmm.
I like to take the student on a step-by-step process into like you know, showing what's most important first, you know, in terms of it's three main pillars, no? The musical side, the spiritual side of things, and that's where I include things like meditation, you know, which, by the way, I know is not for everyone. So I talk about meditation. I show the basics of it, and I leave it as an option, you know, for people to integrate it in
Yeah.
their habits if they wish. You know? And there is the corporal side of things, which I made
Mm.
videos about too, like basic exercises that musicians can do for the back, mainly,
Oh,
like people who sit down a lot in their instrument, you know, and have back
yeah.
pain, like simple things that you can do, like lying down on the floor, upside down, you know, as
That's underrated. That's underrated right there.
yeah,
I feel like a lot of teachers they focus on the musical part in their teaching, and there's teachers that incorporate meditation and the spiritual side. But like I think the physicality of being a musician is something that I was never taught to prioritize at all.
Yeah.
Like our health, our well being. Like I know that like I'm really into meditation, and I feel like every creative should get into meditation. But at the very least, what I think is really important for teachers and business owners is just the breath work, like being able to
Yeah.
regulate and reset your nervous system, like from a physical standpoint. That is so important for us
Yep.
as business owners and as creatives, like just that physical aspect of slowing your heart rate down, resetting, clearing your mind. That is something everybody should do. That
Yeah.
that if you're in my world, like that's an important part of living.
There you go.
So I'm glad
There.
that you focus on that.
Yeah. Um, yeah, but the chorus is mainly focused on music. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
still
talk a
like
lot.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot about improvisation, composition, methods, piano technique, all the great things. However, I decided to integrate wellness into it since I believe it's such a fundamental aspect too, you know, and
Hmm.
it's so hard to keep all of that in balance. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Just now, I would say, as I've been doing the course, actually, as I have learned myself from myself, you know, and I am getting to a nice balance that I try to respect with consistency. And I am fortunate to do it with other people because I have a weekly meditation group, you know, that I join.
Ah,
I have a weekly partner who comes over to my place and we do an hour of exercises like Mondays,
yeah. I've been seeing
Wednesdays.
that on your Instagram.
Yeah, and I thought that would be nice to share too. Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. So today I did a bit of it, and honestly, I'm feeling so much greater now, just because I
Mm,
did some stretching and lifting, and like I feel like I can stay sitting in this chair for longer and not
hmm.
feeling pain, you know. So that means when I sit down and play the piano, I can stay there longer. I'm gonna have more resistance, right?
Hmm.
So I'm gonna feel better, and it's just endorphins, you know. It's these chemicals that are released in your body. It's all connected, you know.
Hmm.
Um,
This is a this is
yeah.
a very like the piano healer program. It's been pretty recent, right? That you've launched this. Is that
Yes.
correct? Or how long have you been running this?
Uh, about 3 weeks now that it's
Cool.
on.
Yeah. How are
Yeah,
your
yeah.
students in it? Like, how are they feeling? Have you seen any shifts with them so far?
Yeah. Right now, it's a handful of students because I actually need to promote the course more.
Hmm.
So right now, it's like people that are coming into it. It's just people within my circle of students that also take my coaching. No,
Yeah.
so I think it's a little too early to to see results because they just started taking it. But
Yeah.
so far they're loving it.
Awesome.
So far it's good. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What do they like about it?
The didactical part of it, like the organization, no, like they can
Hmm.
go step by step, and that
Yeah.
it's easy to understand. You know,
Hmm.
even though my English is actually no, the course is in Spanish, okay, but it has English subtitles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Cool.
you know, it's for Spanish and English speakers. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious, like, because a big part of your story is like making these shifts to get to where you are now with the piano healer course and everything. And I know I've been a part of that journey
Oh yeah.
for many months there. For you, what do you feel like was the either like the toughest part about making those transitions? Because a lot of the teachers that might be watching this right now, they're in that burnout phase. They're in that phase where they don't really like their schedule. They need to find a better way to grow and scale their music school. Um,
Mhm.
do you have any like words of wisdom to share with them, or any of the biggest struggles that you overcame as you were making this transition into your hybrid model?
Mhm. Um, so Sorry, I don't know if I understand it correctly. Like what you're asking, what were the biggest shifts from?
Yeah, either or what were either like the biggest challenges that you overcame
Mm,
when you're making that transition, kind of going from the traditional model to your model
mm,
now? Was it like teaching it? Was it just the mindset overcoming the fears part of it? Like what do you feel like really stands out for you in your transition journey?
right. I think the biggest part of it is waking up and still feeling like you can record one more video. You know, after the 28th video, you're like, oh, this is not done yet. Okay, you know. Yeah, I think that's the biggest
Okay,
challenge.
okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's
Hmm.
a lot of work.
What
Uh,
keeps you going? What keeps you going? Like when you're in the middle of the grind, like what continues to pull you?
yeah, I think it's this urge of wanting to share something so special that has happened to me and that I continuously understand that it's a very
Hmm.
unique thing that has happened to me because not everyone goes through those experiences. I am glad that more people are going through them now, like
Yeah.
waking up in the middle of the night and being like, "Hey, I can go to Brazil now. Let's get the flight," you know, and like
Hmm.
suddenly understanding all these different things that are going through you and how to make them better. So I think it's sharing that knowledge, allowing more people to also unlock their own mindsets, no? Wherever whatever they're experiencing, whatever they are going through, uh, understanding that you have the power and you can make it better.
Hmm.
You can make a positive change, you know,
Yeah.
for your life. It's not going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. Like, um, in fact, as you're going through it, it gets harder because you need to keep that same energy, you know, to keep making it consistent, no, and make this progress,
Yeah.
and understand that it's not going to happen immediately, and that things are not going to go perfect, and everything is just a process. But if you keep the motivation, you know, like you need to have a reason, no, of why you're doing it. And I like, you know, when I think my best moments in education are where, you know, you are not controlling anything in a given time. Like you're not in control of anything in that precise time where you're just like chilling, and all of a sudden you get a message, and it says, "Hey man, I just wanted to thank you for what you've been doing for me. I'm 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 understanding more, you know, about me, and I'm really making a progress with piano, for example, no? So thank you. Like I really feel like I am, you know, my ears are better. I can hear more than before. I'm more aware, no? And like when
Yeah.
you get messages like that, then you know that you're doing something good. So that kind of like reaffirms your purpose, no?
Yeah. That's
Uh,
beautiful. I think that is so important because um what you're saying with it, the hardest part is like continuing to move
that's
forward,
the hardest
is
part.
keeping that fire alive. And I agree too, because a lot of the teachers that are like, anyone that's watching this, they like, a lot of teachers I talk to, they're at the point in their career where they're not starting. Like it's they've been doing this for a while. They know they're a great teacher. They have built up a very successful studio already, but getting to that next income level, getting to that next phase, um,
Right.
we all fall in this trap where we start doubting ourselves. We start getting that imposter syndrome again, and we start forgetting like what it actually took to get to where we are now. That like if we took the time to find that gratitude, remember where our power is, and remember all the things that we accomplished, just
Uh-huh.
seeing that evidence so we can get our conviction back up, like continuing to
Yeah.
have that fire and that conviction to move forward is the key to getting to the next income level.
Right. And as you know, even harder than continuing is starting, no?
Hmm.
Then the next hardest part is continuing. But
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you know, I also took a course on like how to create a course because I didn't know how to do it. And from that point where I said, I should do my own course until I actually
Hmm.
did it, 6 months passed by, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, after the 6 month, I was actually doing it, you know.
Yep, yep.
So it's like taking that first step and then continuing. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
I'm kind of curious. Like, do you have any words of wisdom to get started sooner? Because I feel like everybody goes to that period where it's like, I'm gonna start 6 months later. Then you do start.
Right.
Like, how do you close in that gap? Everyone's probably out there saying just do it, but like, do you have anything different to say, or do you have anything
Right.
that really resonates with you to
Um,
close the gap?
do not expect it to be perfect. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the first sentence, right?
Yeah.
Because and that's another artist complication.
Yep.
We are perfectionists, you know. We
Mm-hmm.
we we create beautiful things, and for them to be beautiful, beauty is symmetry, is perfection.
Yeah.
So we want things to just fit, right, and sound great, and that happens with us in many other aspects of our lives. No, when we want to start something, no, I really need this camera. I think that's going to give me more better resolution. No, I really need to
Yeah.
get a new computer to do this. No, or oh, I need a new phone. I'm not in the
It
right.
make
I'm not in the right place. Maybe I need to move. Right.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
It makes sense though, because like as musicians, as artists, like I feel like we're natural born perfectionists because when we're making our music, like it's just for us, and like if it's just for us, we want it to be as perfect as it can, like as perfect for us
mhm,
as it can be. So it's very natural for us to want it to be the best, and I feel like um, trying to fight that urge to be perfect is something that we shouldn't have to do. So
mhm,
when I always tell my clients, you've heard me say this, like take that imperfect action, and it's
mhm.
not about. I feel like it's not about holding down that urge to be perfect. I think that's an awesome trait to have, but I think we should translate that to um, do the best you can in the moment. That's all we can
Exactly.
really do, right? Like
Exactly.
it might not be perfect, like in an objective standpoint, but if we do the best that we can in the moment, then it's always going to be perfect. It's always going to be the way that we
Exactly.
need it to be.
Yeah. Do the best you can with what you have in the moment.
Hmm.
No, with the available resources that you have. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, and that got reaffirmed with you and with another coach that I had as well. Uh,
Hmm.
because when I launched the course, this recent course, I didn't have all the videos done.
Yeah.
I've been kind of like doing the rest of them as I realized that it was actually selling. So you don't even need to release the complete product yet. It can be something that it still needs to be completed, but at least it's out there. No,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah,
So I guess like moving forward now, like what's the vision for Jorge right now? Like what's next? Like how are you? I know you what's the vision for yourself as a performer and as an educator?
right. Um, I think mostly important is to realize how many great things you've already done. No, how many great opportunities you've already had. Because another human behavior is that we tend to make ourselves unhappy because we think we still need to get here or we still need. But the fact is that you know, and this is something that you learn also through meditation, just the fact of being alive is already amazing. You know, you already
Hmm.
made it to life. You know, that's a big step.
Yeah.
Like you know, just the fact of having a roof or having something to eat that day, like you know, the bliss isn't these small things. You know, so it's already amazing to be able to do music. You know, but of
Yeah.
course there are always bigger desires. No, um, what I'm trying to say is that even if those don't happen, it's important to be thankful of what you do have now and what you were already what you were already able to experience, up to now. It's
Hmm.
important to be grateful for your life, no? But it's always been a dream to participate in a jazz festival in Europe, uh,
Yeah.
and I'm pursuing that right now. Yes, in fact, and like I said, because I do make this like immediate and direct decisions, I am going to Europe this year to pursue that,
Okay.
and that's going to happen towards the end, more towards the end of the year, because before I'm going to go to the States, since I have a working visa that I need to renew, but also just reconnecting with my musician friends and family over there. And also look for opportunities in the US, because the US also has many jazz festivals and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I just want to finish this first album, which uh, these are just reflections of fear breakthroughs. Before I
Hmm.
didn't believe that. Before I didn't believe that I could create an album and have stuff on Spotify and be an actual artist. Just because sometimes you underrate yourself, no?
Hmm.
But because I saw other people that are my age or younger or just a bit older, and they are doing what I want to do, I know it's possible. We shouldn't even need those references, but they definitely help. So yeah, I want I want to perform my music at festivals. That's one thing. I want to finish producing this album and release it. And again, the perfectionist side of things has definitely been in place. Just like re-recording some songs, uh, taking out or putting more elements in it, stuff like that. But that's why it's
Hmm.
important to have deadlines, no? At least deadlines that live in your mind. So, for example, I know that in June I need to release this album. So
Yeah.
next month I just need to release it. So I have like 4 weeks 4 or 5 weeks to finish it, no?
Yeah.
And then you start taking action from there, no? Um, and well,
Cool.
yeah,
Keep me updated with that.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be listening.
Of course. That's a big dream. So yeah, and and it doesn't matter how big the dream is. I think the fact of convincing yourself that it's possible, even if you don't get to the actual thing, you're gonna get very close, and you're still gonna do amazing things. So
Yeah.
I think it's important to keep that motivation.
Hmm. I love it. Well, first off,
Yeah,
always a pleasure being able to chat with you, catch up, and kind of like have this opportunity to dive deeper into your story because I've known a lot about you, but I've learned so much in this like hour conversation. So I appreciate you. Where's the best place for people to reach out to you, connect with you?
of course. Instagram.
Hmm.
My Instagram is Jorge Alonso dot Maldonado.
Perfect, perfect.
And yeah, and in case that's too difficult to spell, we can type it somewhere
I'll
there.
put it in the I'll put it in the around the video and probably in the description.
Wonderful,
You
wonderful.
same thing under Spotify.
Um, no, Spotify it's different, so I guess we can share the link there as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, or on
Cool.
Facebook it's the same. My name,
Hmm.
Jorge Alonso Maldonado, on Facebook, Instagram. That's the best. That's the best way.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. Well, again, thank you so much. It's always been a pleasure.
yeah. Oh, and if you wanna share a link to this course that I created,
Oh
we're
yeah,
gonna put it there as well.
we'll include it for sure.